Hello, my name is Thomas and today I'm reviewing The Facts of Death by Raymond Benson, which I read on a recent holiday to Cyprus, where I lived for 7 years as a teenager. Indeed, my father and my mother have lived there for about 20 years, and indeed my grandfather lived there back in the 50s. There's a long British connection to Cyprus, and the reason I read this book there, which is a fun, very much a holiday book, the reason I read it there is because it is a James Bond adventure set on the island of Cyprus. So I thought, what better book to read as I went about my old haunts, enjoying myself. This book actually was published back in 1998, so the year after Tomorrow Never Dies and the release of the video game GoldenEye and the release of the film The World Is Not Enough in 1999. What a time to be a Bond fan. This is very much set in the Pierce Brosnan era, but it shakes up all kinds of other elements from other incarnations of the Bond films. There's a touch of Roger Moore here, a touch of Timothy Dalton there, and Bond himself is much more the literary Bond than we're used to seeing in the films. We get to see the old M in retirement. The current M is the Dame Judi Dench version, again from the kind of GoldenEye, World Is Not Enough, Tomorrow Never Dies kind of era. It is set all around the Cyprus problem, and this is something that I've lectured on at Bradford University, and it's a really interesting conflict. It's a little known conflict. In fact, I've not generally seen it portrayed in popular media. In fact, in The World Is Not Enough, we get to see mention of Cyprus because that's where Electric King was taken for a kidnapping, but we don't generally see any reference to the problems of the island. This book gives you a kind of a thumbnail sketch of what's gone on. It mentions the problems between the Greeks and the Turks. It mentions the Turkish invasion in 1974. M has a rather nuanced view. She feels that the Turks had justification but doesn't approve of it entirely, and that's fair enough. The book doesn't really take too many sides. There's lots of reference to Turkish atrocities, and not to give too big a spoiler, the reason for that is because it forms much of the villain's motivation. One fun aspect of this book using a real-world conflict is the fact that somebody I know, somebody I've met, appears in the book. The president of the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus then was Rauf Denktash. I met him on several occasions. He always remembered me, which is always nice when a president remembers who you are. He appears as a character in this book. I won't mention any spoilers except that it was great to see him, and I think pretty accurately portrayed. I would hesitate before calling it high literature, but it is great fun. Every James Bond story must have a great villain's plan. Well, it's revealed pretty early on that this villain is smuggling deadly toxins around the world in semen from a range of fertility clinics. The author leans fully into the hilarity of this basic concept, and of course that's why it's called The Facts of Death. It's a fun adventure, that's really just all I can say about it. It's perfect for reading, say, on the beach or between jaunts, sightseeing jaunts and so on. It's fun, and well, what can I say? If you're into your Turkish Cypriot Delight, this is from my favourite Turkish Cypriot Delight shop, or Cypriot Delight if you're in the south, or it's a bit different, you see, from Turkish Delight on the mainland. If you're into your Cypriot coffee, or Turkish Cypriot coffee, or Turkish coffee, if you're into all that, this is a great little book. And if you're not into this, well, I guess it's a fun adventure, a Bond adventure that's it's one more. So I enjoyed this book, and I might recommend it to others, but very much as holiday reading. Now, if you'll excuse me, I want to drink my coffee and enjoy my Turkish Delight.